Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
What I've said, and you know what I've done, and you know what we're doing, and you know what I know what you're doing.
And what you're doing is watching Talking with TalksALot, the variety talk show all about creators and fans and entertainment and stuff that doesn't involve political bullshit. Joining us today is Smalltime Republic, otherwise known as Matt. Hello, sir, and thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Doing good. Glad to be on.
Heck yeah, glad to have you. So, for those of you who don't know, Smalltime Republic is usually in the chats. He's on Twitter, stuff like that. He hasn't started creating content yet, but he's planning on it. So keep your eyes open for that. Yeah, I think he's going to be a big deal, honestly. So, Matt, we'll just jump right into the interview. First, I guess we'll go to the chat, which it won't let me highlight it. There we go. JT Gunn, thank you for joining us, sir, and thank you again for the congratulations. It is huge for me to hit 500. Last night we hit 525, so growing with no chemical additives needed. So, yes, sir. Subscribers are the enlarger pill for YouTube. So, Matt, tell me a little bit about your entertainment preferences.
So in terms of entertainment preferences, probably the biggest thing that I'm into would be Star Wars. And as it turned out, I sort of came to it a little bit later in life than most people do. When I was probably around 23 was when Revenge of the Sith came out back in 2005. Not to date myself, but you could probably guess how old I am based on that. But I was really not into hardly anything sci-fi related or anything like that. And when I saw Revenge of the Sith, that's what got me hooked. And from there, started reading expanded universe books. I think Cloak of Deception was the first Star Wars book I read, and then since then I've just expanded it to read more novels and read some of the Star Wars comics. And
heck yeah.
Even here lately, I've gotten into the like the young adult novels that were written, where you had like a young Obi-Wan Kenobi, or the ones that took place between episode 1 and 2, those types of things. So Star Wars is probably my biggest thing. And then I've gotten into past few years, getting into like the Marvel movies and Marvel TV shows and old Marvel cartoons.
All right.
Kind of thing.
That's awesome. So real quick, good morning, Casey Charlie Chats. It's great to see you. Welcome. So Star Wars is a huge deal for a lot of people. And so you got into it with Revenge of the Sith. That would be Father's Day of that year, because I remember the Who's Your Daddy posters being everywhere. That was great. So you didn't really get into the original trilogy to start you off.
No, right? That was the interesting part. I mean, yeah, I had, I'm sure I had seen it on like TBS or something growing up, but it was a sort of a, kind of a passing thing. Wasn't nothing really that interested me, too much. And then just, it wasn't until, like I said, tail end of college there that I really started to get into it.
So what drew you to jump on episode 3?
Well, one of the reasons why I wanted to go watch that was because I had a feeling that, it may be the last Star Wars movie ever, at least the last one that George Lucas did.
Right.
Because he had, whenever the Phantom Menace, the lead up to that, I remember a friend of mine telling me back then, which would have been in high school at that point, that, hey, George has said he's not going to make any more after these, episode 1, 2, and 3. So I thought, you know what, this may be my only chance to get, to see it in theaters. a Star Wars movie. So, I'll give it a shot while I still have the chance. So that's
Heck yeah.
that's what got me hooked.
Well, obviously it was pretty monumental entertainment moment for you if it got you hooked on all that. So I'm glad that you took the time to jump in before it got shitty.
Right.
Like that's a good thing. Now you can appreciate what Disney took away from us, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because
yeah.
I wasn't actually a huge fan of the sequel trilogy until Disney started releasing their garbage. And I was like, okay, in comparison, these are great
Right.
movies. And of
Yeah,
course,
the prequels.
episode 3 was badass, turning Anakin into Vader. So that was badass as hell.
Although some people don't like the no part towards the end.
Yep. Oh well, one little soundbite can't actually ruin an entire movie, honestly. Well, it can, but it's got to be a pretty bad soundbite, and that no doesn't really cut it for me. So since you got into it, has there been any new Star Wars content from the Disney realm that you're actually watched and enjoyed at all?
I sort of my rule of thumb has been with I guess from 2014 and on, for the most part, the content has been, either Disney content directly or Disney approved in terms of Star Wars. And I've watched all the TV shows and seen I guess it would be 5 movies that they've come out with, if you count Rogue One and Solo. And really, there hasn't been a whole lot of that I've enjoyed to the same extent that I've enjoyed some of the earlier stuff, the pre-Disney buyout. With that said, and there's been people, there's a lot of people that like it, a lot of people that don't like it. The end of Rogue One, I thought, was probably maybe the best part of Disney Star Wars.
I actually enjoyed Rogue One. I won't say the same thing for Solo. At the highest praise I could give Solo is that it was boring. And that's pretty bad. We could get into the garbage clusterfuck that actually was, but we won't, because Solo lost money, and that's all you need to say. But
Reylos are weird.
Yeah, Reylos are very weird. Incest is not okay, people. Okay, just saying. So with did you ever play any of the video games on Star Wars?
Not really. I've seen some of the videos of them, but I never really got into them. Although I will say it looked like some of the I have heard good things about Jedi Fallen Order, but no, I never really got into the Star Wars video games. I was more into like college football or Grand Theft Auto. That was kind of what I preferred,
Gotcha.
Back when I played video games more.
Yeah, I feel you. My favorite was always KOTOR, Knights of the Old Republic, and Knights of the Old Republic 2. I liked the second one for the fact that you could turn everybody into a Jedi, but I absolutely loved the storyline of the first one. If you can do RPGs and stuff like that, that's definitely one worth checking out. And you said you're more into which kinds of video games?
And again, it's
GTA, right?
Yeah, it's been a while since I got into video games too heavily, but yeah, Grand Theft Auto, and then like the different EA college football games.
Right.
Back when that was a thing. I don't think they've had a new one since 2014.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's the one thing that I do respect though about whether it be KOTOR or the Old Republic or any of the games that are in that, I guess, EA BioWare sphere, is that just the depth of them, and the richness of them. So I've read the Old Republic novels, and read the short stories that they have on StarWars.com. But in terms of playing the games, even though I hadn't get into them, I can still, from what I've looked into it, I respect the, how much lore there is there.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So, hello, The Merosphere's Origin. Hail, hail, and hello, Lasso of Truth. It was fantastic having you on my stream last night. We're gonna have to get you on this stream to talk about Stargate soon, because that will be fantastic. So, what else are you interested in entertainment-wise? You said that you've picked up some comic books from the Star Wars side. Did you get into any other comic books, or?
Really, I haven't been into reading comics, outside of Star Wars much. It just wasn't, really a thing growing up, and it's not something that I've really gotten into later on. I think, just about the only comic book I had as a kid was The Death of Superman that came out when I was like, 10 or 12, and I'm probably one of many that, got that comic. But no, I was the older I've gotten, the more I appreciate the comics that came out in the 80s and 90s. At the time when you're a kid, you don't have the perspective to appreciate,
Right.
what necessarily is good versus what's crap.
This is true.
But as I've gotten older, I've gained perspective, and I'm like, a lot of that stuff wasn't half bad.
It's interesting how that works. Like, the first time I read through a couple of, like, we'll say Punk and Friends. I don't know if you're familiar with that one. But there's this old school comic called Punk and Friends. And the first time I read it, I thought it was actually really good because it was one of the first comic books I had ever touched. And I think I have my signed copy around here somewhere. But I was like, oh, that's actually pretty good, And then the second one that I ever actually picked up and read all the way through was the Blackest Night from Green Lantern. My favorite superhero, by the way, Green Lantern, 100%. Hal Jordan. Every other one.
Yeah.
Take a hike.
Yeah, I was going to ask if it was Hal Jordan or
Hal Jordan.
The later ones.
Period. Yeah. I like the other ones. I like Guy, and I like John, and I like Alex. But Hal is the Green Lantern, period, for me. He's the Green Lantern from Earth. Like, that's all there is to it. So good. But then after I read that, I was like, wow, Punk and Friends is garbage. And so, like, now I have this signed copy that's worth like 45 cents.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, well, now we have some really crappy comics coming out and some fantastic comics coming out. Have you read any recent comics? Hail Justice Fats Seagal. Fat Steven. Always great to see you, you Canadian psycho. Gosh.
I love how Steven, there's several people that are good at doing it, but Steven is one of the best at getting to culture, in terms of making culture shake his head, or, just, get, to be laugh and frustrated at the same time.
Yep.
That always cracks me up.
Heck yeah.
That and his avatars that he'll have, during streams.
I absolutely love his animated avatars and all, like, the waifu shit and all the various Steven Seagal things. He says, I am the derailer. Yes, you are. Yes, you are, but we welcome it every time you're in this chat, and especially when you're on stream. I'm going to have you on again there, Fats. Just saying. So what kind of music you like to listen to, bro?
Well, in terms of, as far as recent comics, haven't really gotten into anything that's come out recently. But in terms of music, really, I would say more than anything, probably classic rock.
Nice.
There was a time period where I was, into country music, but, especially, living in the South, that
Yep.
tends to happen by osmosis. But
Yep.
Once all the Florida Georgia line stuff started happening, where it became, sort of glam country. Although I guess it could be argued that Garth Brooks kind of did that too. But once it became, more non-country.
Poppy and rap. Yep.
Right. I sort of got away from, probably classic rock more than anything else.
Cool. So, hail Parrot Head. Glad you could make this wonderful midday show. So when you say classic rock, which side are you actually on classic rock? Are you more like the heavier side with like Black Sabbath and stuff? Or are you more like normal classic rock with Rolling Stones and Beatles? Or are you more like the Motley Crue side with, some Poison and hair bands?
Right. Yeah. I'm probably more of like your normie classic rock stuff. So,
Okay.
Beatles, Stones, The Who, you know, different Queen. Seems like I'm
Hell
only
yeah.
naming British bands, but
Hey, the British invasion was the thing, and thank God for it. That's all.
yeah.
Like,
But yeah, I mean, and there's a lot of people that don't like him as well. So I'll preface it with that. But and I could see why they wouldn't. But I'm into Bruce Springsteen, and like a lot of his songs. More than anything with him, I like the effort that he puts in to his shows. I went to a concert of his, I guess maybe 10, 15 years ago. So at that point, he was probably already 60 years old or close to it,
right.
and had the energy of a 30-year-old. So I respect what he does for his fans, and yeah, he's has a lot of, I guess, bad takes on things in general, but that's not any different from any other person in entertainment.
You're not
But
wrong.
he also does a lot of stuff for like local food banks and that kind of thing. So there is some good in him outside of just the music.
Hell yeah. See, the problem I have with modern entertainers is they forget that they're entertainers. And they want to be more important than being the people who will let us escape from our problems. And they don't understand how important they already are in that aspect. And they should just shut up and do their job. But that being said, let's move on. So, any new movies you're looking forward to?
In terms of anything coming up, not really anything that's on the horizon, but earlier this year, I saw a couple movies that I enjoyed. One being The Northman.
Oh, yeah, I've heard so much about that. I can't wait to actually watch that.
Yeah, so I saw that whenever that came. I guess it was maybe like April or whenever that came out, and it was good. I will say this: it's in my opinion, it's a hard R. Like if it's if someone's under 18 and they can't handle intense
Yeah.
violence and that kind of stuff, then and there is a little bit of nudity too, but the violence is probably the most stark part if it's a younger person. And so yeah, you gotta be in the right mindset to enjoy it.
For sure.
That and Top Gun Maverick.
I keep hearing about that movie.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to watch it yet because AMC is the only theater in my town, and I will not support them. So, and I'm not driving an hour and a half to get to another cinema. That's not happening.
Is that because of their ownership?
Yeah, they got bought out while I was still working for them, and it rapidly declined, like just straight in the toilet, and like it was garbage. Hail Sean E. Step. Glad to see you. I'm glad you could make it for this stream. I know we were just on last night chatting and having fun. So I did my 500 celebration last night, which in my opinion was a fantastic stream. Anyone watching this replay, if you haven't watched that one, go check it out. We had Lasso of Truth on for the first time on air, and she did fantastically. So
yeah, it was great.
And
Lasso was great. The only part that wasn't fair to Lasso of Truth was with 9 other people on the panel. You said, "Who's your favorite YouTuber?"
I know. I like putting people on the spot, and she's a great sport for letting me do that because a lot of people would be like, no," and she's like, "Okay."
Yeah, I'm just kidding. It had some comedic value by the fact that there were so many people on when you asked her. So.
And I won't lie, I did take her nerves for granted and played off of that a little bit. I'm sorry, Lasso, but that's the kind of person I am. I like I like taking people who are nervous and trying to make them break that nervous through humor and engagement and stuff like that. Hail Ryan Roger Athe. On to 600. Congratulations. Thank you. Yeah, we're already 25 subs over 500, so we're just cruising. I look forward to growing with everyone in the chat and on the, of course, Matt here on the panel and everyone else on the panels that I'm on. Hail Stephen Ransom, just listening, haven't slept since last night. Well, go to bed. Like, seriously. I'm just saying.
And I don't know what it is, but it seems like whenever I see content creators get to like 800 or 900, that last 100 to 200 seem to go by pretty quick in comparison to, earlier iterations. So it's like
I've heard that, and I'm interested in seeing if it's actually true or not, because it took me 2.5 years to get here, but most of my growth happened within the last, say, 7 months. So we're just keeping that in mind. So I'm expecting, like, these people expect me to hit like 5,000 subscribers at some point, and I'm like, I'll be 50 years old by then.
yeah.
Is it, am I even going to be mentally functional by that point? We'll see. Okay. Casey Charlie Chat says she should have said PewDiePie. PewDiePie. I can't stand any of those streamers. I'm not going to lie.
I don't know that
Especially
I've
when
seen.
it's just a game. Ninja. But yeah, I have a teenage son who watches all that kind of shit. I tried to get him away from it, but there's no stopping a teenager from doing what they want.
Well, yeah,
So,
those type channels get tons of views.
They do. They do. Luckily, he's not huge on PewDiePie himself or a Ninja. He likes Dan TDM, but he's more into the pals, If you guys know who that is, there's a, the pals is a bunch of Roblox gaming.
Oh, okay.
And stuff like that. So they're surprisingly large, though. Like, I think Sketch has like 2 million subs, 3 million subs, and like.
I have a young relative. She
Yes,
likes
I
to
do,
watch,
JP.
people build Legos.
Yep.
And whatever channel she watches, it's enormous.
Mm-hmm.
So there's all sorts of pockets out there. You could have a content creator that has 10 million followers, 10 million subscribers, and like our corner of the internet not know about them. Like it's crazy.
You're right, but the thing is like I'll watch some of those videos with my son, and they start them up with like, "Hey, 90% of the people that watch my videos aren't subscribed." I'm like, you have 3 million subscribers, and 90% of the people who watch your stuff aren't subscribed. Like, what?
Exactly.
Yeah. Ryan says, wait, Sir TalksALot has a teen kid? Oh, God, keep him away from the Cory music channel. He hears all my songs before I release them, except for this last one. That one was a bit much. But I don't limit him on his access to my stuff because he knows the kind of person that I am. He knows my sense of humor, and he knows that it's not going to get any better with age. So it's just fun.
And I enjoyed watching. You've done at least one interview with Ryan, and he was very engaging. He is wise beyond his years.
Yes, he is. He's the single most engaging and wise 20-something I've ever met in my life. And I enjoy that man greatly.
I think at one point he used a phrase called pillar to post. And I'm like, man, no one that's 23 should know the phrase from pillar to post. I think it just means completely. But I was like, man, this guy. He is he's already a sage.
He is. And like by the time he's like 80, he's going to be the old guy being like, let me tell you of a time. I would do an old British man accent, but it doesn't sound right. So, but all right. So, classic rock, Star Wars, The Northman, some YouTube stuff.
Yep. Also,
covered a lot in 25
into
minutes.
sports too. So that's.
Oh yeah, sports. I'm not big on sports ball, but if you want to talk about it, you can go ahead. The last time I saw a sports game, my dad took us to I'm just gonna call it Mile High Stadium or whatever it is to see a Rockies game, and yeah, it was boring to me, like very boring. And I got this little ice cream in a plastic Rockies cap, and it was like $15. I was like,
Wow.
what?
Yeah. Some of those ballpark prices are out of hand. Yeah. Actually,
Yes, it is.
I had to fly out to Denver a couple months back, and didn't get to spend. I spent more time around like the Boulder area, a town that was actually near there. And first of all, living here on the Gulf Coast, I was you know, seeing the Rocky Mountains. I've been out there probably 3 times, I guess, but just every time I've been, it's been like just like when you
Yep.
compare basically we have we're 10 feet above sea level where I
Yeah.
am, and you go to you see the exact opposite of that.
Yep.
It was all inspiring, but yeah, I got to go get some things from like the gift shop there at the Colorado Buffaloes football stadium. So I'm just
Yeah.
into college football, and but yeah, I mean, in terms of my favorite team with that, I went to Auburn, so the Auburn Tigers are
All right.
my favorite team, and we have the
Cool.
rivalry with Alabama, so that's
I got a little Roll Tide action. Okay.
yeah, that's a big thing here. Yeah, but yeah, and as far as entertainment goes, with things that are coming up, I don't. There's it's kind of a mixed bag. I don't have a lot of optimism for the new, like basically the Black Panther sequel that's coming out.
Right.
Especially since the actor that played Black Panther is no longer with us. So how
Dude,
how
Bozeman, I hope they don't deep fake that. That'll piss me off so bad. Because Disney technically owns the rights to that man's image in every way, shape, and form. So if they wanted to, they could recreate him digitally and put him in the movie. And that bothers me. Because there's been talk of doing things like that.
well, yeah, that and the problem is that there is some precedence for them doing that. Well, we talked about Rogue One earlier.
Yep.
Both with Tarkin and with Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
That was done.
Yep.
And that was even with Carrie Fisher was alive whenever they actually filmed that.
They shouldn't be allowed to do that, in my opinion.
I don't think they should. I guess it's kind of a dicey situation. Maybe if the family signs off on it, but even then, does the family for sure know that what that actor would have wanted?
Here's the thing: when you sign a contract with Disney, you're literally signing over your soul to them. You give them control over your public behavior. You give them control over your health, because they require you to be in a healthy condition at all times. You give them control of your image, your voice, and your face, your name, even in some cases. And as a talent, I am never comfortable signing over every part of myself to a company. So I would hope that Chadwick didn't do that. But
yeah, I would hope not. I just think it really takes the wind out of the sails for it. Now, again, it'll still make really good money, but obviously that really sort of undercut it. In terms of the other stuff that may be coming down the road, I think there's gonna be like a Deadpool Part 3 at some point, and
I'm actually not looking forward to that anymore.
Well, do you think it's kind of played out basically?
No, I think that they're going to ruin it.
Yeah.
Especially since Ryan Reynolds is fine with doing anything for money. I just think they're going to ruin it. Part of me thinks that Deadpool will now be subjected and relegated to the PG-13 world forever, which does him an disservice as a character because he is not a PG-13 individual.
Nope.
Never has been. I mean, that's just the way it is. And I'm not looking forward to Deadpool Part 3 because now it's probably going to be an X-Force movie of some kind, and it'll probably put Domino in the lead for some reason. That's what I got from the second movie. But again, I say outwardly and publicly, ladies and gentlemen, everyone watching now and in the replay, fuck Disney. I will never work for them as an actor. Not that they'd have me in the first place. But just saying, I have standards and they don't meet them. So,
well, you might have too much wrong think.
This is true. This is definitely true.
You got a good point there because since assuming that they make the third Deadpool movie, my understanding is that it would fall under the MCU banner, as opposed to falling under the separate separate Marvel group that they were under.
Yeah.
The non-MCU, I guess you could say. So yeah, that could certainly put some handcuffs on them, and you almost can't really make a Deadpool movie and not make it rated R.
You can't. Not a good one.
Yeah.
I mean, we saw what they did with Deadpool 2 when they released the PG-13 cut of it. It wasn't good. Like it was lacking in certain areas that make Deadpool. Like, I want them to do a Headpool movie. Like, have it to where he goes into an alternate universe, fights zombies, and winds up with Headpool on his hip. Yeah. Like,
well, I mean, the first time they had Deadpool in a movie, at least that I'm aware of, was when I think it was the Wolverine Origins.
X-Men Origins Wolverine. Yeah.
And it was not great.
I can enjoy that movie after I've smoked about 3 ounces of Marley's flower. Skirted you, YouTube. But I watched that movie very recently just so my son could catch up on the X-Men movies. Because as much as I hate it, it does have some parts that play into later on in the actual movies. But Deadpool in that movie was an abomination.
Yeah, and when I say not great, I'm specifically referring to his character in it.
Yeah, they ruined his origins. They ruined who he was as a person. As far as he didn't feel as asshole-ish as he needed to be Deadpool.
Yeah.
I thought Ryan Reynolds, of course, was great as Wade, but they neutered the writing on that, just like they did in the Green Lantern movie. Not that Ryan Reynolds was ever a Green Lantern. He's never been Hal Jordan. Ever.
Yeah, I've yet to see that. I've heard it's rough.
Dude, looking at the past, they missed a huge opportunity not making Chris Pine Hal Jordan. Period.
Yeah.
Because he would have made a perfect Hal Jordan. Because he's not as ridiculous as Ryan Reynolds, but he still has that little bit of asshole flair that would have made him great for Hal Jordan. But
right. A lot of people don't like him as Kirk, but I mean,
this is true. I didn't mind him as
serviceable.
Kirk. I didn't mind him as Kirk. I know this is blasphemous, but I didn't mind the Abrams Trek.
Yeah,
I didn't mind them. They weren't garbage. They weren't great, but they weren't garbage. There's, as you said, serviceable movies.
Yeah, to me, it's like a lot of franchises. I liked the first one, and then it seemed like I liked the second one less and the third one less. That seems to happen with a lot of trilogies.
Yep. It takes 3 movies to ruin a trilogy.
Exactly.
Or in Disney's case, 2 movies, and the third one's just a wash. So.
Oh yeah, the sequel trilogy that there was no plan.
Man, I won't lie. I watched the first one and it was like, And then I watched the second one and I was like, fuck this whole franchise. Goodbye. I haven't watched any of their shows. I haven't watched any of the movies. Nothing since that point. and I won't even say the name of the movie, but it was garbage.
Well, and that episode 8 movie is largely responsible for the community of the people that of the different streamers that
Yep.
that we watch or that we engage with. The fellowship. A lot of that growth can be attributed to episode 8 and the
Right.
backlash from it.
For sure.
So there's a silver lining in every cloud.
Yes, there is. So JT Gunn says that rule doesn't apply to Back to the Future. He's talking to the 3 movies to ruin a trilogy, but that's because Back to the Future had a perfect trilogy. It is one of the only perfect trilogies that has ever existed. The only one that's come after that is Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings. The Hobbit was okay, in my opinion, but those are the 2 perfect trilogies in my mind. Is Back to the Future and Lord of the Rings by Peter Jackson. So,
yeah, I thought especially that the second Back to the Future movie, they had a lot of moving parts that they had to keep in line, and I thought they did as good of a job as they could have, because that could have easily spiraled out of control.
It could have,
with them revisiting the same scenes that they had done in the first movie in some cases.
yeah,
but slightly different.
Yeah, well, see, and I loved how they did it in those movies because they didn't do it in a super tacky way. They weren't like, oh, well, we'll just reuse this scene from this movie and then like jump cut to another scene. It was like, there's Marty in the background going, oh shit, like stuff like that instead of, it's great.
That and the third one, that was really not a safe choice to put it in the Wild Wild West in 1885. They really step it on a limb there, in my opinion. Like, that could have been a complete bomb.
It could have been,
but it was good.
See, one of the reasons I think that it worked the way that it did, throwing it back to the past, was the fact that they were willing to take that risk, and they had the writers, producers, and set workers to actually make it work in the context. And of course, without Michael J. Fox, it wouldn't have been as good as it was. If you'd have chosen any actor to be McFly besides him, it probably wouldn't have performed as well. It might not have even gotten sequels. So we do have to give credit to the talent that made those things what they were. Lloyd, always a fantastic actor. Christopher Lloyd, like, great Scott, like, you can't go wrong with that. Hale Bush McFadden, that man does some great posting in my Gilded. If you're not in my Gilded, I will drop that link. But he does the food section on my server, and oh my gosh, that man can cook. Like, so good.
He mentioned Eric Stoltz. Yeah, my understanding is that they got fairly far along filming the original Back to the Future with Stoltz in there, and there's 1 or 2 scenes where you see his shoulder or his his hand or whatever in the final cut, just because they already had so much on tape with him. But that, and just to go back to the second Back to the Future, JT Gunn had put in there how the actors coming back helps a lot. Well, yeah, most all of them did come back, but the exception in part 2 where they didn't have the actor that played McFly's dad, George McFly. I forget the actor's name.
Right.
But he's kind of an odd guy in real life. But they had to shoot around him not being in it, like have a different actor stand in and shoot the back of his head and that type of thing. So
yeah,
that was added to the level of difficulty with that.
I agree. So JT Gunn says, do you think if they filmed all the movies together like Lord of the Rings, it would have been better? I don't think so. I think they did fantastically the way they did it. I think personally, if they would have shot all 3 of the Back to the Future movies together, back to back to back, it would have actually been, it probably would have caused more problems on set and stuff, because when you're doing a long-term project, you do get let's say, person fatigue, if you will, where it goes, I've been around this person every day for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I'm going to kill them or I need a break. And so I think that would have happened because back then, the people that were in these movies were also doing a lot of other things. So they would have been overworked, and you would have probably seen it shine through in the process and the finished result. So the Lord of the Rings is a special exception because they provided them with living quarters and the freedom to do whatever. But back when they were doing Back to the Future and it was all on set, on site and stuff, I feel like it probably would have decreased the overall value of it. And they say Crispin Glover for George
That's
McFly.
right.
Hail Dragon Master 360. Glad you could make it. We just having a good chat. So have you seen any of like the Terminal List or Reacher or anything that Amazon's been doing lately?
I haven't seen any of the Amazon shows, but I've heard positive things about it, especially of late. The Terminal List. Watched a couple of people that were former military that have talked about how it seems to be fairly true to form in terms of their body language and how they handle firearms and
Dude,
things
yeah.
of that nature. Yeah.
Yeah, I've had friends who were in the service and on SWAT teams and stuff tell me that movie is one of the most accurate and like awesome, or that show is one of the most accurate and awesome shows that they've seen in a long time, and it's got me excited for it. So, hell yeah! But if you don't have a Prime subscription, then Google, stop listening. Go ahead and find some Pirates Bay material. It's worth watching. If you don't want to support Amazon, it's worth watching anyway. Because like Reacher, for instance, was bad ass. It was one of the best shows that I've watched in a long time, and I can't wait for season 2 to come out. Like, that show is perfect. Like, and Alan Ritchson, oh my gosh, I wish I had his physical disorder where you do push-ups and you gain 15 pounds of muscle overnight. Like that, man.
Yeah, he's
Watching him between
jacked.
Smallville and that, I'm like, damn.
Yeah. The other thing with that is, at least with the Reacher Amazon show, they casted somebody that fit that
actual
role.
every part of it. Like Tom Cruise was not Reacher. Like, I enjoyed the movie, but he's not Jack Reacher. When they put Richardson into Reacher role, it was absolutely perfect every second of it. And Bush McFadden says roids. Wrong. He actually has a rare muscular disorder, and I wish I had it. Then I wouldn't need the roids to get these big old guns. That was a joke. Yeah, it was a good one too. So Bush McFadden also says the Terminal List is very Tom Clancy-esque. They did their homework for show. Yes, they did. I love Tom Clancy. I miss his works. Like, let's be real. He was a fantastic writer. He was a fantastic conceptualizer, and he was able to take tactical and situational awareness and put it in a place where readers can actually connect with it, even if they have no tactical experience. Because we can't all, have the wonderful life experience of running through kill houses and, running shooting courses and doing breach tactic training. And like, not everybody gets that. Like, and it took me a long time to realize that those aren't standard issue things that people learn, So I'm glad that they took the time that Clancy actually takes the time to put that stuff in his work. Took the time.
Yeah.
How long has he been dead? It's been a while.
I think he's been gone at least 10 years, if not longer. It's been a while.
Minute. Yeah.
But yeah, having Tom Cruise play Jack Reacher, that's like, sometimes when you see the memes of Ryan Gosling is Obama.
Right.
It makes about as much sense. But yeah, Tom Clancy, he was one of the few authors that could really combine the tactical explanation of things with telling a good story.
Yes. And like Bush touches on here, he says he had political intrigue and shadow organizations and conspiracies and such that were all very well done. Yes, they were. We don't see that enough anymore. Like, I'd love to see someone actually tap into Ian Fleming's spirit and make a Bond movie finally.
Exactly.
But, now that we've gotten rid of Craig.
The blonde Bond.
Yeah.
One thing that and I'm sure it's something that he signed off on, so I guess it shouldn't bother me too much, but I do think it's a little bit misleading, and I totally get why they do it. But like if you're in a bookstore or if you're looking at something online or what have you, whether it's a video game or even new books that have come out in recent years, where it'll have Tom Clancy in huge letters on the front, even though he had nothing to do with the project because it started before he, or after he passed away. It's sort of like, it's Tom Clancy, in brand only, I guess.
I feel that way with Patterson's works, James Patterson.
Yeah.
I don't mind. I think it's his son that took over his writing and stuff. I don't mind what his son is putting out, but stop attaching your daddy's name to it.
Yeah.
It's his characters, but it's your work. Show some respect for yourself too, and claim the good works that you're doing. Don't just attach someone's name to it for clout. Because you know what? Even though we're all about it,
straight clout chasing,
we don't want that here. We would like that outside of our regular entertainment from people we expect it from, like Culture Casino. There's a dig. What's up? I love picking on that man. I'm just saying.
I was on Culture's member stream on Saturday, and I said, and it kind of goes back to when I mentioned Fat Steven earlier. I said, Culture, just so you know, whether it's Scott or Fat Steven or Mad Mardigan or whoever, when people bust your chops, that brings entertainment to everyone on the panel and everyone in the chat. So I said, you're something good comes out of your discomfort.
Yes, and see, the important thing to remember being on this side of the camera is that those things happen. It happens. If you can't be made fun of as a public figure, then don't be a public figure. And Culture Casino has one of the best spirits in dealing with these kinds of things of any of the people that we have on stream. And kudos to him. Okay, so Bush brings in James Patterson is a cheater. Most chapters end in cliffhanger, like Alex Cross opens a door and sees blood on the floor. You have to start the next chapter to see what happens. Well, smart writers like to hook you and keep you going. I absolutely loved... my brain is breaking. I can't remember his name. The main character of...
Jack Ryan?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it Jack Ryan? Did he do Jack Ryan?
You mean talking about Tom Clancy or
James
James
Patterson. Not just the Alex. The Alex Cross is fantastic. But he did another one.
Yeah, I was thinking more of the Tom Clancy character. Yeah, I've never really gotten into Patterson much, although I know he's been very prolific.
That was the Cross novels that I was thinking. Mm-hmm.
I've read
the Cross novels.
I got you. Yeah, I've read several David Baldacci. I think that's how you say it. Books. And he's kind of a maybe a tier below Clancy and Patterson in terms of name recognition, but he still has his books everywhere. But it's a lot of stuff that technically it's a lot of like stories that boomers would enjoy.
Yeah,
I'm not a boomer in age, but just in heart sometimes.
Right. So hail XRL7, good to see you, Mike. I am working on those fun projects you sent me. I'm unclear on instructions, so I will be hitting you up after this stream, just to let you know. I need some clarification. For those of you who don't know, go subscribe to XRL7. This man does a great job on everything. The vocals that he gets from the artists, the voiceovers that he gets. And I'm not saying that because I'm on his voiceover lists, but it is fantastic. But Morgan Freeman was a bit too old to play Cross, but was still phenomenal. Um, didn't what's his face? Tyler Perry
Yeah,
do some
Tyler
Alex
Perry.
Cross stuff? Yeah.
Yep.
Did anyone watch any of that chat? Matt, did you watch any of his stuff?
I've seen some of the like Morgan Freeman, Ashley Judd stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but I never saw any of the Tyler Perry, Alex Cross.
Yeah, he's like one of the richest, or if not the richest black man in the world, but I've never watched a single bit of any of his stuff. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I will. I'll give Tyler Perry credit for something that I've liked to give Tom Cruise credit for, and that is in both of their productions. Apparently, they're always very buttoned up, and if you promote their projects, if you're a part of them, you stay on task. Um, like with Tyler Perry, I understand when he was filming stuff during the COOF that they had it very structured in terms of when you get tested, when you have to have a negative test to be on set. It was all very. In other words, he wasn't allowing the COOF to prevent him from
Right.
doing his job.
Right.
And same thing goes for Tom Cruise, although he was maybe a little bit more dictatorial. If you ever heard that clip that came out where I think someone was not masked up when they were supposed to be, and he.
Are you talking about
he
Cruise?
What's that?
Tom Cruise?
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Yeah. So I do remember the clip that you're talking about, and I actually respect him even more because of that clip, because the things that he said specifically was, you're jeopardizing everything we're doing here by being stupid. And we are not going to jeopardize what everyone is counting on us for because of your ignorance, more or less. And he made it very clear that they are there for the work. They are there for the project. They are there because it means something, not because they are there to collect a paycheck. And that's one of the reasons I respect Tom Cruise as an artist so much. I don't care about his political philosophies. I don't care about his personal ideologies, anything like that. But when it comes down to it, as a professional, Tom Cruise is someone that I would absolutely love to work under, because there's not going to be any bullshit on the same levels as if you were working with someone, say, like probably Chris Evans, pick a Marvel star, any of the female biggies that are out there right now. Yes, Boosh, Scientology, it's a full of shit, but I won't bash him for that. He's a dedicated professional, and I love that about him. When you can show me that you can be professional on set and set everything but the art aside, I automatically have respect for you. Period. Because that's what we need more of. We need more people buckling down on people being professional actors, not drama queen, melodramatic little butt plugs.
Exactly.
And
for instance, when Chris Evans came out and said what he said right as Buzz Lightyear was coming out.
Dumbest marketing move ever.
Yeah.
Shut your fucking gob, Chris.
Yeah. But again, that's an example where Tyler Perry or Tom Cruise on one of their productions, they would never say something dumb like that right as their project was coming out.
No. And see, if I were in charge of these kinds of projects, and of course this is all hypothetical because I never want to be in charge of a project like this, but if I were in charge of it, I would actually have it in the contract where you shut the fuck up until after the movie's done. And I'm talking released. We've had 2 weeks on release in box offices. Go ahead and open your mouth. You got paid. You're not my responsibility anymore.
Yeah.
And if someone said something like that, I would be, hey, guess what? This in no way reflects anything to do with the movie.
Yeah.
Like when people come out after the fact and start saying, like, this person is trans, that person is gay, this person identifies as a giant green glob of like glitter cum. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Like, those don't have anything to do with the movie, but they take away from the movie when you open your mouth. So
basically, the clause should say, in promotion of this movie / show, or in your social media presence, you will not say anything that will jeopardize, the financial benefits
right?
of this
That
film.
it's a very simple contract
Yeah.
additive. It's very easy. And Bush McFadden, once again, hello, sir. Chris Evans didn't talk about the movie in that interview. He talked about my feelings. He did. And, if we're being honest, we should not, as societies and human beings, give a flying rat's ass what talent has to say about my feelings. Okay?
Exactly.
Because they're not supposed to be social influencers. They are given authority falsely through recognition. That doesn't make them smart. Look at Dave Bautista or whatever his name is. Bautista.
Yeah.
Let's just look at Bautista. Okay? Just look at Bautista. This man is a walking Neanderthal. He can seem smart at times, but then he opens his mouth and it ruins everything. This man shouldn't be an influencer in any way, but he tries really hard to be so.
Well, you also got to look at the fact that a lot of these entertainers, especially ones that were child actors, they, and this is not to take away from anyone's education level by any means.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of them, did not go to college, but even more than that, a lot of them, and again, the older I get, the less crucial I think college may be. But not only that, on the high school level, a lot of them are learning on set, especially like I said, if they were in the entertainment industry at that age. So they didn't engage with a lot of critical thinking training that you get in high school and college, and that you get in a normal classroom, and that can show when you post dumb things on Twitter or say dumb things in interviews.
Yep.
And they really have to be disciplined because, especially if they're doing a junket, you're asked the same question 30 times.
Yep.
And you have to be disciplined enough that 30th time you get asked it, that you can still stay on message and not be, you're not in your brain think, I'm tired. I'm at the end of the day. I can't take it anymore. I'm just going to say what I really think about this. It's like,
right.
Yeah, you can say what you really think, but you've got to be smart about it.
Yep. And see, the thing that people need to remember also is that college education doesn't make you smart. And that sounds crazy, but it's true. As a very wise man named Sean from Omega Star Productions once said, a higher IQ, or no, it wasn't Sean. I'm sorry. This was another great man that I can't remember the name of, but he says a higher IQ simply means that you can jump to the wrong conclusion faster. And what Sean said from Omega Star Productions is that the smarter a person is, the higher capacity for being dumb they have, which means smart people often think they're right, even when they're not, and they're going to try to be right, even when they're not. So they act dumb. So the higher your intelligence, the higher capacity for stupidity, and the higher your IQ, the faster you can jump to the wrong conclusion. So don't ever trust a celebrity just because they have a college degree either. Especially if it's in something like sociology. I'm a psychology major. I have my degrees in psychology, but don't trust sociologists. Don't. You want to talk about soft and pseudosciences, sociology, ladies and gentlemen. Psychology at least relies on testing.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting. You said I was a history major when I went to Auburn, and this was maybe a year or so after I graduated. There was a big scandal about how a lot of the athletes were able to get, all of them were getting A's in sociology, and it turned out that the professor was, cooking the books a little bit. So, but yeah, I did take a sociology class and quickly determined that was not the direction I wanted to go in.
Yeah. Looking back, I halfway regret going after psychology simply because they suddenly moved the goalposts on everything after I graduated. And I wish I would have gone for some acting. But now that I see what acting school gets you, which is just brainwashed, soy-fed lifestyle, I'm kind of glad that I took the time to learn about people before going after a career. So I spent $150,000 to learn how to talk to people and how to engage with people and how to read people. But, okay. B.F. Skinner did nothing wrong except treating a kid like an animal and lying during testing and altering data. Okay, Skinner did a lot wrong. Yes, Skinner was an idiot whose entire world was undone by a single question from the world's greatest retard, Noam Chomsky. And so B.F. Skinner gave us some great things. Operant conditioning, we totally understand that. So now we can get people hooked on gambling a lot easier. But, B.F. Skinner was an idiot. I think Freud was an idiot. As good as the stuff that he did, he was a moron. I
think he was thought-provoking, but he didn't always provoke the
right
most
thoughts.
Cogent thoughts.
Yeah, and to be totally honest about the Freud side of things, that man would not be famous right now had his assistant not stolen all his research on cocaine. Because Freud was researching cocaine for medical benefits, and his assistant stole all his research. Okay, and then published it. Do you know his assistant's name? No, because cocaine was found to be incredibly bad for you as time went on, and all of that was discredited. And I'm like, damn it, it should have been Freud. But whatever. Ladies and gentlemen, we are over our hour, so thank you for joining us tonight, today, whatever time it is. I'm still kind of tired from last night. So, Matt, anything you want to tell people about? Anything you want to pitch? Or
don't really have much to promote. I do have a YouTube channel. No content on it yet. At some point in the future, I want to start making content. I'm on Twitter at small_time3, as in the number 3. But mainly just enjoy hanging out in the chat and then just appearing, on the occasional stream with people. So that's kind of, where I am at this point, and just appreciate the chance to be on here.
Well, yeah, I'm dropping his links in the chat right now. Make sure to give him a follow and a subscription on YouTube and Twitter. I know he doesn't have any content right now, but be there to support him anyway. Let's see how many subscribers we can get before he releases a video.
That's right.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. I will not be doing my normal stolen outro because apparently it's stolen. So I won't tell you to stay sexy and don't get murdered. Instead, I'll just say, have a wonderful day.
Straight cloud chasing, straight cloud chasing.